So we've launched the brand and we haven't really spent that much. So this may be a premature video, but it's going to give me a really, really good opportunity to kind of work through it with you. Maybe it's the product, maybe we need a pivot. One of the hardest things about entrepreneurship is, well, there's many, but one of the hardest is the continuum of when to pivot and when to persevere. Something that sits on a continuum means you don't really know where the best option is and it just goes on forever, because there's great stories about brands that, like YouTube, there was a dating service and then it pivoted into what it is today. But then you've also got so many stories about people just persevering and just breaking through barriers to get to the results where they want to go. And I think too many people that get started with entrepreneurship, they either pivot too early or they just give up too quickly. I remember bringing on someone onto the team once to launch a brand. And I just said, look, if you just never give up and you keep learning, either two things are going to happen. You're going to die first or you're going to become successful. That's just inevitable. And I think that same with this side of things, if we just keep learning and keep iterating, we're going to get some results. Maybe the results don't match our goals, which for me, my goal is just to simply get enough results to teach you guys. I don't need this to replace my 9 to 5. That's going to be very, very difficult to do that. Now, you're probably wondering, you just did so much work to get to this point and it didn't work. Is your methods flawed? No, they're not. The last probably 7 launches I've done, I've got at least 3 to 15 return on ad spend, including a brand that I just recently launched before this that wasn't drop shipping, but that did 80K in its first month. It's doing 10K days already. So it is hit and miss. There's always going to be variables. If it was 100% formula, then I would just repeat it over and over and I'd be a billionaire by now. There's always going to be work involved. So if you're getting similar results to this, or you're just not getting a sale straight away and getting all hooked for it, just don't give up. We can work through it. So what do? We look at all of the stages and the assumptions that we've made previously and adjust those accordingly until we get results. The way I see it, you've got 7 things that you can pivot on and change the variables to get results. The first one is audience and targeting. Now, as I said in the Facebook video, we are doing broad-based targeting, but audiences can include something like age. So we could start targeting older people. We could also change the country. We could go to the European countries if there's less competitors. We've also even got the platform itself. So we could pivot to TikTok audiences and change that. The way that I see it, just working through this with you now, I think that countries are fine. We're working with the best countries there. We could maybe expand to Canada, but I don't think that's going to change too much. One thing with the countries is it's currently winter in the Northern Hemisphere. That's why I'm so busy with Audi at the moment. But the thing that we could definitely do is rethink the age itself. Maybe we need to be targeting older demographics. Maybe that audience is already facilitated. Maybe, we're doing similar angles to other sock businesses at the moment. Maybe we need to actually think differently to create new pockets of avatars. Also on audience and targeting, I don't really want to change away from Facebook at the moment. Facebook is the quickest way for me to test. I don't want to go onto TikTok and start doing viral organic TikToks, although it is an option, because Facebook is going to allow me to scale quickly. It's the thing that's going to get you guys the most results. So I'm going to stick on that one. And that brings me to the second thing that you can look at, which is the angle, which is basically why someone needs the product. And audience and angle is a little bit different, although they do kind of work together. If I'm looking at a different audience, such as a TikTok audience that is now Gen Z, the angle for that person is going to be very, very different. I don't want to do something like a health-based angle for feet health for Gen Z. I'm going to want to use an older audience for the health angle. So that might be something that I'm going to play around with. So when we're thinking about the angle, I would definitely just get onto TrendRocker. I would look at a bunch of winning ads as well. I would go to some of the brands that are scaling, just click on trending brands or scaling brands, use the filter score for scaling, and check out some people that are spending lots of money on Facebook, make their Facebook ad count quite high, and check out some of the winning ads in their ads library to get some ideas. Then the other thing that we did previously, which was Reddit, which we haven't actually tested yet, which might just be the answer. I remember finding it and checking it out is the warming angle, considering their socks. It was probably a pretty silly thing for me to assume that it was going to work really well in summer, but it is a winter product after all. So we probably want to go more on the cold angle. I went on the hot angle for our UGC, talking about how it was great for tradies and whatnot, but I'm going to definitely look at that angle as well. And the way that I'm going to go after these angles is I'm going to get someone to shoot some content myself. I'm actually off to LA and Vegas over the next 3 weeks. So I need to get get someone to shoot some UGC for me as well. But I'm also going to get a UGC creator to whip up some content along those similar angles that I find using TrendRocket, find using Reddit. And the other thing, if you're struggling to get results, but you have had a couple of sales already, I've barely got an add to cart, is you can just call your customers. You can set up a survey on your website as an exit intent survey that says like, what was the reason you haven't purchased yet as the question? Leave it as a text field so that they can write their story. And it's just like, it might be, I don't know how to set up the product or something like that, and get some insights there. If you do have some customers, just get on the phone to them, text them first and just say, hey, I'm the founder of this brand, because nobody answers their unknown callers nowadays, and just say, can I just ask you a couple of questions? My business isn't going as well as I'd hoped, and I want to learn a little bit more. And you can definitely get some insights there. The third section is the ad creative itself, which I think that this is probably the main issue. And again, this definitely still flows and somewhat is a category under the angle and the audience. But the ad creative, we can change the format itself to certain things. Like mine was a very UGC orientated creative where I shot with Alex. We might want to make that more a viral trending thing. So like if you had a cooking product, for example, and you're just got someone talking about the product itself, maybe you need to look at ASMR or something like that that's trending on TikTok and copying that format, not to post on TikTok, but to post as a Facebook ad, because they work really well because people are getting a lot of ad blindness. So we can also look at, again, we could just double down on UGC. We can look at better statics, which are very, very easily recreatable, which I'm definitely going to do as well. And we can also look at something like a founder ad. I don't want to do that because I don't want to push myself alongside this brand, but a founder ad could be a really nice format. Same with a VSL, which is like a longer form piece of content, which we've talked about previously. So we can look at that rather than these minute UGC ads. I'm thinking more, I'm not going to touch that too much at this stage. I'm going to stick with the UGC and introduce a few more statics, but I'm definitely going to change the angle and the avatar as well. The next thing that we've got, which needs to align with the angle that is going to work, but it's the web experience itself. Now, we've installed Vitals, the app, on there, so I can actually see, using screen recordings, people going onto my website and clicking around. You should do the same. You can use Microsoft Clarity if you really don't want to use Vitals, but I highly recommend that you do. Again, they are an affiliate, but I do recommend it. You can go onto it and you can see if they're clicking, people are bouncing out of certain places or unable to add to cart or something like that. And you can try to digest, is the web experience the issue? You'll want to try to find certain web bugs. You can get your friends and family to try to check out that kind of stuff. But yeah, we can also change the angle of the web experience, which often works better through an advertorial because the title is so apparent around what it is. But for me, mine could be like, it's a very hiking orientated website. If I wanted to change the angle of the website, I could just change it all to like, these are the warmest socks ever. Like just the coziest socks. It's a gifting season. And I could make some assumptions around that and pivot there. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try a different I'm definitely going to try the warming angle with UGC, still to the Shopify store, and also going to create an advertorial around maybe a health side of things, which I'm going to kind of study and understand a little bit more and probably throw a video as well and show you how I do that. Then we've got the offer/mechanism. We can change this. Now, there's the amount of brands that I've seen that are unprofitable on Facebook ads, and then suddenly they change the offer, and then they also add a bunch of upsells using something like aftersell, like a really, really high upsell. And suddenly the unit economics work is crazy. So I've got a bunch of offers here that you can run, but you've got percentage off. So it could be site-wide, it could be tiered based on how many they buy. You've got dollars off rather than percentage off. You've got BOGO, you've got a mystery box, you've got free express shipping, bundle deals, subscribe and save, purchase to go in the drawer, gift with purchase, post-purchase with upsell or cross-sell, lifetime warranty, 100-day free trial as well. People can trial it before they have to pay. There's certain things that can do that. We've got just pay shipping, exclusive memberships, loyalty programs. I don't recommend loyalty programs in the early stages, but I just want to expand your mind around how many offers that we have. What I would recommend here as well is just go to some of your favorite brands, see what offers they're running and try to customize your offer around that, or really, really understand what is the customer using it. And this is where the phone calls and the surveys come in. Why are they using it? And what is a value add that you can add onto it rather than just a discount, and see if that can work. Then the next thing is we can pivot the product. Now we can pivot the product completely. We can go back to the drawing board. We can introduce another product, might start cooking one as we go along here in the background to launch, but I don't want to do that, as I've kind of talked about. And I don't think that you should do that until at least you've spent a little bit of time trying to dissect this, posting your results or whatever, your website, your ads, all in the Discord so that we can monitor it and be like, yeah, this is working, this isn't working, or like, you just really need to fix this, and getting some feedback. I really don't want anyone pivoting their products yet because we've just spent so much work and time setting up the website. And then the final thing that I will say is that you can just be patient, because Facebook it's using algorithms, and it may just take a little bit of time for Facebook to warm up in terms of the audiences that we're actually targeting. It might also change. Yeah, we might get a little bit more trust there, and Facebook will start lowering those CPMs, and going from there, we might get some more reviews as well. Like if you are getting a few sales, which can really kind of snowball things along from there. So patience is definitely something that if you can, and it does, if you do believe that the business is eventually going to match your goals, then it's worth being patient. So my ads, I filmed Google Ads yesterday. It's still going through the approval process through the Merchant Center. So that will be really interesting to see how that interacts as well. I don't think that Google Ads is going to be a miraculous cure because there are a lot of other socks out there, but I have seen weird things where there's no competitors and suddenly Google makes the business skyrocket. So I'm just going to keep working through these things, and I'll keep you up to date. So for those that have been following along with the tutorial, they'll know that this is the store that we're launching. It's not a huge trending product that's going to pop off, but at the same time, I still would have liked the results to be a bit better. To be really transparent, I've been off the past 3 weeks. I've been in Cabo, Vegas, LA for my 30th. I'm officially old. So I haven't done a huge amount of work. I'll explain what I would have liked to have done at this point so that you guys can actually go and do that. And I'll also explain maybe some things that have changed since the last tutorial. Because again, I'm trying to be really transparent and make sure that you guys kind of see all of the ingredients. So this is now a 3D render, which I've created through Upwork. I think for those that saw when I set up the Shopify store, I was using a BOGO offer here and was getting no sales. And I think that was because it was just a little bit tacky. Whereas realistically, we've now added these 4 pairs, 7 pairs, 1 pair with no discount with a bundle creator. And I'll cover all of that stuff in my AOV video, conversion rate video, however I present that, because it's such a big part. And that really has helped because we've had a couple of 7 pairs come through in the UK, which is, good money. So we've set up these bundle collectors. Aside from that, everything on the website is pretty much the same, I would say. We've changed it over to a Christmas sale, which is good. So here's the revenue of the business. Obviously, it's always great to get your first sale, no matter how long you've been doing it. Ask anyone. As soon as you get a ka-ching, even if it is an unprofitable sale, it's always pretty exciting. So this is the conversion rate was probably going to be a little bit inflated, which I'll explain in a second because we're using advertorials for this. But yeah, the sales are coming through. Pretty much all I've done on the Shopify side is I've come into Zendrop and I've got these orders in here. You can see the total down the right. This is our cost to ship the products. I've turned auto fulfillment on. You can actually click down here if you want. I've turned auto fulfillment on just because I want them to ship it out straight away so that it gets there for Black Friday. But if your order is under $10, you're going to want to under this, there's going to be a charge that Zendrop will charge you for. So you kind of want to use daily fulfillment, and then they'll pick all of the orders at the end. And yeah, sure, there's going to be a slight delay, I guess, but at the same time, it's just going to be much cheaper for you to do that fulfillment. I've just got auto fulfillment on. But the coolest part about what I've been doing at the moment is when I first started, I was just manually fulfilling them, clicking them in. And because if you've used my link and you've got the Zendrop offer, this is free money. Like, they're not charging us anything. We've got the voucher there, and it's just pulling down on this credit so that, yeah, we're basically making money for free, which is pretty cool. So that's all going fine. I've had no complaints there. One thing that I have been doing is I've just been coming into these orders, and I've just been coming in. I'll just come into my order, my test order. This was a while ago. This was just to make sure everything was flowing through. And I've just been checking tracking numbers, just making sure that they are moving and are going through. Obviously, I've got my email on the website as well so that customers can contact me, which is really, really important. I'm expecting, some customer service emails because it's Black Friday and it's Christmas. and the customers are going to want it before Christmas. And I've been pushing to get that to happen. The delivery times have been looking good. Everything's moving, but you just need to make sure you have a customer service email so you can sort that out. But I haven't had any customer service requests yet. I have been getting a few emails like, what is the fabric composition of the product? So when you're getting those emails, you then need to go and add it to the website, which I have now done. What are the materials? I've added them there. So make sure that you're adding that stuff to quite high up on your product pages when you're getting these customer service emails. But aside from that, on the Shopify front, it's all been pretty good. So how have we gotten these sales? For those that watched my Facebook video, you'll know that I filmed a couple of UGC, launched them. A lot of them were around the hiking angle, thinking that that was going to work. A lot of them were around the cooling angle as well. I'm in Australia. It's hot at the moment. And I thought Australia might work because, the competitors for this product are very, very good at what they do. And I thought that they just kind of had the US wrapped up in a bow. So I assumed that there was going to be a really good market in Australia. That's why I went down that angle. A lot of those creatives didn't work. So we're now using UGC creators. And this is definitely where if I was 100% focused, didn't have Woody Black Friday, didn't have my birthday, didn't have Daily Mentor, I would want like 100 creatives, like at least. I would want to be setting up a group of viral content creators, closing the loop using something like TikTok Shops, Amazon, and just getting so much volume, just working with these creators on a daily basis and smashing that out. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to set that up. I probably will over the next couple of months if the time permits, but we have had some winning creatives, which I can show you now. So for those that were with me when I first set up the account, I kind of segmented based on the country. This was to really just ensure that all countries got a little bit of spend so that I could be like, yep, what's going on here? What's going on in each of these countries? The result from that was all of the CPMs, all the click-through rates were all kind of terrible. They're still pretty bad, but at the same time, they're getting better. So I created a CBO or Advantage Plus, where all of the countries are within that one campaign, meaning that kind of Facebook is going to decide where to spend that money. So it's definitely been pushing kind of to everywhere. Interestingly, I've got 10 ROAS there in Australia, which is interesting. But at the same time, when we expand the thing, this is why it's not great results because I don't think we're profitable. We can expand here. You can see UK is doing relatively well. Australia is not getting too much spend. US is doing okay. But when we look at the ROAS, it's all pretty low. So I am also testing advertorials. So I'll just come into one of these advertorials. Like this is the hiking advertorial that I ran. I'll just show you kind of the experience that you're getting. So I would love for these ads to be very, very tailored to the advertorial. But as I said, I'm very limited on creative at the moment. But when we come into this advertorial that I built, I used actually, rather than using ChatGPT, I used Claude. I just put in the framework of advertorials, problem mechanism, solution mechanism, and then added some of my own story to it as well, because I've, done Everest. I've done a lot of these hikes. I've done Machu Picchu. So I added this advertorial and started driving traffic to that. Interestingly, the advertorial around just more so around circulation and the fact that polyester socks can be really, really bad for you is performing better than the hiking advertorial, which is again kind of down the angle that hiking stuff isn't working, which is largely what I built my initial positioning off. So that's really, really causing us some issues, but we can definitely solve that. This advertorial definitely still needs work. All of them need testing. I was just testing it. Like you can see the favicons not even fixed on that one. But as I said, like you can see that the advertorial here is working quite well. So let me break it down week by week and what I saw. Now Google spending $2 a day, I just set it up and it's basically spending nothing and there's no conversion. So we've only got one form of traffic, which makes it a little bit easier to know where it's all coming from. But, first week we got our first sale at $167, which was good. It was a kit. It was coming through that. And then I introduced the advertorials later. You can see that there's no spend. So that was all good. Then the week after, which is, I believe that was Black Friday week. I was in Cabo at that time, which was fun. So this week, introduced the advertorial. Consider this getting better results there. So my next steps with this is definitely, I've got one more advertorial to test around sock smell because I have like I've got a really good story for that, like an actual personal story. It's kind of funny, but I'm going to test that one as well. I don't think that's that stronger angle. I think the foot health angle is really good. I think niching down more onto what I've learned from the creative side of things, which I'll show you now, is probably where I would also go. So when we look at the creatives that have worked, we'll look at the whole picture. Yeah, we've got the whole picture there. So as you can see here, we've got 0.96 ROAS, which means we're losing money. If that was the correct, we can come into Shopify and check the sales in here and make sure that the sales match what is in here, just to be certain that, you know, it's attributing correctly, which it is. But yeah, basically we're losing money, which is why it's not great that we've got, even though we've got 1,000 sales. But the great thing is we are getting data through. So this is the iterative process. One of my friends, he launched a brand. He was getting 1.1 ROAS in the first month, iterated on it. He's going to do $10 million in his 8th month of business profitably. So it is this iterative process. But yeah, we can come into here, we can look at the amount spent, sort by that to kind of try to understand. You can see that there's just this one winning creative that we can come into and we can play it. So you can see it's talking about merino wool socks. So the merino wool customer is probably very, very set on that product, but we are explaining why we have a better mousetrap pretty much, which looks like it's going to work for hikers, for a bunch of different demographics. That's a really interesting insight that's working so well. We could definitely double down on that with landing page angles, adding, you know, comparison tables, putting it in our emails, or we can just get a ton more UGC creators to actually make that call out and find a winning format, because that format, you know, we've just stitched a bunch of customer generated content or UGC to tell that story. Imagine if we get someone very, very compelling that talks about the science using the formats that we've done. And we just keep doubling down on that, guys. Like, just keep going. This is why it will be really good if you can get great results initially with the first product selection, because you need those profits, you need that money to just keep reinvesting into content and get that engine flowing. So where do we take this brand now to get it profitable? The first thing we need to do is we need to actually be tracking daily profit. It's really, really important. So I'm going to do a session on that and set that up. I know that I'm not profitable. Again, with a ZenDrop credit, I don't have any cost of goods right now. So I think that's, you know, or cost of shipping. So I think that is, you know, makes it much easier, but I am definitely losing money on ads. Then, you know, we could go change the offer, but this is just a creative issue. Maybe it's a website issue as well. I need to make that a little bit better. But if I can get a winning creative with winning positioning and work on those advertorials to increase AOV and also the angle with that and make sure that is dialed in, this is going to work, and we can definitely get it to a profitable point. I should have some actual time to deal with that over the next 3 weeks, even though it is Christmas. But yeah, that's basically where the brand is at. For those at home, you can think about your offer, think about your creatives, keep briefing in creators. I'm going to do maybe I'll need to keep doing some videos on creators. Maybe I'll need to keep doing some videos on how to design the website. Just drop the comments below and we'll keep working through it together.